What's up, everybody, and welcome. Is it a good day? Is it a bad day? We do not know. As a queer community, each and every day, because we have to explain our existence, the good people of this country decide to, of all the things we go through, a new Anti Homosexuality Bill was the best thing to do in 2023 for every Ugandan. And as inhumane and as unreasonable and as hypocritical this bill is, we cannot deny the implications. And we cannot deny that the implications are vast. As social as they may be, they're also economic. And given the fact that we already, as queer people, do not fit in this society, we found ourselves having to go above and beyond to provide for ourselves, even while they say, oh, you were not yet a criminal. But now imagine what could happen if there's a bill that renders you unlawful within your own country. What happens to your livelihood? At State House at the end of the day. So with me today on this podcast, which should be entertaining, engaging, but also in a very grim moment, we've been powered by MEND Initiative, and Sarah is in the building, who will talk to us shortly. But in the building as well, we have the climate queer activist of this country, Winfred Mugambwa. Nice to have you here. You're going to introduce yourself in a bit, but it's really, really nice to have you. My name is SK, and I hope you enjoy the next few minutes of this podcast. Sarah, please take it away.
Hey. Yeah, what should I say? The moods have been high, low, so but we're surviving. My name is Nduga Sarah. I am the Executive Director, MEND Initiative. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Winfred Mugambwa, Mother Nature. You can't talk about nature and you don't talk about financial liberty. You can't talk about economic justice. So I'm happy to be here. I'm not really happy, but we have to move on. Life has to move on. We have to still stand.
We have to survive.
Life has to move on. Yeah, we cannot just sit by.
Yeah.
And please, again, like you just mentioned, there are always intersecting issues. One thing can affect many things. And it's what we're here to talk about. One bill is affecting us on a more grand scale, and it's not just one thing that it's affecting. So nice to have you here, Mother Nature.
Nice to be here. All social justice issues are climate justice issues. Yeah.
Okay. But makes absolute sense. I couldn't even start arguing with that. So, Sarah, before we even start, why this conversation? Why does MEND Initiative feel the need to have this conversation? It's necessary, and yes, I'm asking this question while I know fully aware it might sound dumb, but I know there's something you might say that's, that's why we're doing this. So why this podcast right now?
Why the podcast right now?
Why this series right now?
MEND Initiative has had the first campaign, which is the Know Your Labor Rights campaign, which we conducted last year, 2022. And after the campaign, there were so many gaps that we still identified that our community is still lacking behind in terms of knowledge about labor rights and laws in Uganda. So that's how we are here. And I'm briefly going to introduce this campaign. And this time round, we thought we should go broader and make it a dictator campaign. So this is going to be the Know Your Labor Rights dictator campaign. And in this, we are looking at strengthening the ecosystem and how do we promote social protection of LGBTQ women in the labor market. And on this campaign, we are partnering with Kuchu Times so that we can tap into the expertise of media and reaching the wider community. So part of the activities in the campaign we are going to be having the podcasts, and the podcast, this has been timely that right now we need to use all the platforms to talk about the bill. So this is really timely for us to use this platform to create awareness and also talk about the implications of the bill on our community.
Wow, thank you. That makes absolute. Like I said, there's a lot I'm not going to argue with on this podcast today. And of course, it makes sense that a digital campaign makes sense, because amidst all of this opposition and this new wave of homophobia, of which I was in a meeting with Winfred recently and Winfred mentioned that this is not a second wave, this is a whole new wave. It's completely nuanced in a different way, and its approach is like they're touching every resource they can. Digital technologies as well.
And also, maybe to add on, or one of the activities that I forgot, we are going to be assessing the mandate of government agencies. So which I find that it is fitting in the current context of right now, what is the community going through. So we are going to be assessing. I think I shouldn't mention some of the agencies, but yeah, we shall be assessing the agencies that are working directly into labor and economic development government agencies. Yeah.
All right. Wow. And while you were talking earlier, you mentioned something about finding a way to build a sustainable ecosystem. And with Winfred, I promise this is not a pun, because you do climate justice work. But I'm going to ask you about the ecosystem.
Winfred has been also.
I'm going to ask you about the ecosystem. What do you think, as the queer community, and in regards to our finances and economic status, what do you think has been right now in this new wave of homophobia? What do you think are the biggest, what you feel like the biggest threat might be, and what in that big threat where could we see the opportunity as queer people? And like, not taking away from the fact that these are circumstances you have navigated in one way or the other in the past. So what do you think could be a way forward, and what could be a takeaway from this situation?
First of all, the bill is, they are trying to root the bill from the norms. In their discussion, they're saying we are protecting culture, we are protecting norms, or we are protecting values, which I really don't understand. Yes, because if you're talking about norms, values, culture, and again, you want, as a country, you're talking about having sustainable livelihood for your citizens, and again, you're speaking about protecting the environment, yet you're trying to try and criminalize some of the citizens. Then you're not being real to your own self. The member of parliament, the government are not being real to themselves. How are they going to achieve sustainable growth? Because in this we have to have equitable solutions. And how will the queer community be catered for around there? To me, if the bill is passed, and for the people who are already out, we can already see that the bill is not yet passed. But the ignorant citizens already think that the bill is passed. And they have started already, like, people are being hurt. People are being beaten. People are being battered. People are being, attacked. So right now, we can't say that for people who are already out, there is an opportunity. In the country like Uganda, it's going to be more worse. Because how will you even do business in an area where they know you? Of course, already you see even the landlords have been touched that if you're found, having a tenant who is queer, you're going to prison. You know, this bill is a little funny that even if they've just suspected, your looks only make you, so how are you going to be active economically? How are you going to work? Yes. So right now, according to the fake bill and how the clauses in the bill, I can't say that there is a way around. If I'm looking at, okay, let's find of like navigate the bill through the ecosystem, it's going to be really hard, because with ecosystem we do coexist. It is a must.
Things feed into each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a must coexistence. Yes, the health of the environment is dependent. Our health is dependent on the environment, and still the vice versa. If we are not healthy, the environment can't, because in that process of running east and west, how can I think of not littering? How can I think of planting a tree? How can I think of doing best practices, yet I'm running for my life? So I'll be living in a survival mode. And when someone is living in a survival mode, they end up unknowingly damaging the environment.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Cause and effect.
it's not easy to say that there is already a way to navigate how we will, using the ecosystem to maneuver over this fake bill, but it's just going to worsen. Yes, it's just going to worsen, because to me it is really just going to worsen. Yeah.
Let me be this person for a minute, because I usually am this person. I like to find the humor in most situations. Was it last year when a statistic came out and it put 14 million Ugandans at risk, or they have mental health issues? Was that the statistic? In my head now, I'm sitting here with these kinds of bills, knowing that we've had another homophobic bill introduced to Parliament, of which that homophobic stint was a whole year, right? It was from 2012 to 2014, sometime in August. Now I wonder how long this one is going to last. I think of the mental health issues it's going to give us, to leave us, and then I wonder. Like I said, I like to be funny. Do Ugandans think that we are supernatural to the level that even nga bamaze otusula eddalo with all this bullshit that they have going on, tugenda kola?
I know.
Like, where's the logic in this entire thing? And like, at the end of the day, with this bill, there are real people that are being affected. It is a gamble with human life. And the fact that no one is willing to see that queer people don't exist just in Uganda, all right? Queer people exist within our families. No one has thought of it that way before they start being nonsensical and then, going to one queer person's shop. I don't know how many times I have been on TikTok recently and seen a queer person getting either attacked. One person was attacked last week at their shop because somebody saw them on live and figured out where they were. And someone came to their shop to attack them.
Here in Uganda.
Here, one in Uganda. Up in these streets, I'm telling you. Shit just gets real.
When we talk about mental health, personally, I think even the people in Parliament are worse. First of all, I believe when they were doing that survey around mental health, were they even checked? For them, was that survey taken around the Parliament?
What is even the mental health check for them to even be like...
No, I mean, when they were carrying out the survey, did they even answer to those questions? First of all, if a person, that's my view, if a person can choose to bring that, to me, I feel this Anti Homosexuality Bill is they just
it's
try
divergent,
to,
yeah.
yes, because of the corruption going on. So to me, if someone just only chooses to still make the marginalized person suffer, like how we are seeing the saga for the roofs in Karamoja, like how we are seeing the different sagas of corruption in the country, and now they introduced the anti-homosexuality bill. To me, I feel they have already a mental problem. Yes, so if we are talking about mental health issues, how the people introducing the bill, given even if they really learnt from the previous anti-homosexuality bill and the previous lessons from other harmful policies and bills they've introduced, if they've really learned from it and they really want the economy to grow and they really want the citizens of Uganda, because when we talk about economic health for queer persons, we are talking about economic health for all Ugandan citizens, because we all feed into each other. We all gain from each other's effort. The buyer gets from the seller, and the seller also gets from the what? The government earns taxes. The government is still also getting taxes from queer persons, even when they know that this is a queer person. We buy things and we pay taxes to the government. We are paying salaries for the government, which means that we need the money. Yes, we need the money to cater for the service, for the taxes. So to me, that is why I say, is this are these parliamentary members really mentally well if they are thinking about the economic health of the country? Yes, and they try to bring the Anti Homosexuality Bill to cover up with what is going on in the country.
Very hypocritical move.
So
very, very hypocritical.
Economic health, economic liberty, financial liberty, and mental health are two things that you can't separate. Yes? And for the country to grow, it grows with its citizens.
True.
Yes?
True.
And the country earns from all citizens. Even when they're like, no, we don't like the gay people. They can't fight nature. Yes? The Honorability can't fight nature. You can't fight an identity.
You can't.
Yes, you can't fight identity.
No matter how much you try to convince yourself that it's a fake identity. And to me, this
11th Parliament, Anite and the other Honorability and the other MPs supporting the bill are enemies of the country. To me, they are enemies to the economic growth of the country and to the citizens. They should stop hiding into like we are protecting culture. Which culture? How come they can't protect culture norms around corruption?
And when I hear protecting culture, it's always weird. And I'm not a lawyer or anything. But then I always want to understand the culture that's said to be protected, because the law is going to be added to a colonial constitution. That constitution is a colonial instrument. It was an institution by white people. It was a constitution by white people. So when I say protecting, like I really want to understand what's being protected and in what context. But Winfred, thank you very much for even touching on the mental health and the blatant hypocrisy of everyone that's talking about this bill. And it kind of shows how socially immature we are as a country as well. Because for you to sit there and know nothing about gay people, but yet want an anti-gay bill, I do not understand what you are on about. You know nothing about a gay person. They tell you it's homophobia. You say it's not homophobia. Have you listened to a gay person to know what homophobia is for you to be like, this is not homophobia? So what are you talking about? The major disconnects. But now that we've talked about their state, let's talk about the implications to a queer Ugandan working in this good old country of ours. What do we see in the future of a conversation like this and of a bill like this if by some sheer lack of empathy this bill gets passed? What do we see a queer Ugandan becoming?
Well, the community we are already marginalized. We are already living on the margins. And according to the economic chain in Uganda, we are at the bottom of the economic chain. In that, most people in the community can't access education, which contributes to the higher livelihoods of unemployment and poverty. So the anti-homosexuality bill and all these other punitive laws that keep coming up in Uganda are just endorsing the economic injustices that are happening in Uganda, that the LGBTQ community or the LGBT community in Uganda that is already facing. So for me, to sum this whole thing, the bill, and mainly looking at its economic impact to the community, it's just going to engineer poverty, unemployment, ill health, because people can't even access health services. People can't facilitate mental health. So if the country can't give a platform for economic justice, so where do we lie as a community? For me, the economic well-being and the human rights of LGBTQ women in Uganda is on the line. Yeah. On the line. It's creating more vulnerability to unemployment and homelessness, which has already been there in the community. So the bill is just a continuation of something that has already been there, that it's just giving it some power up. Yeah.
And again, still, this inhumane bill, I don't know if it just deliberately chose to ignore the fact that this is also a very disgusting play on power. Because in the 21st century, as a country, we are talking about, platforming everyone. Everyone needs space. Let's give visibility to every single person. And then here you are, you're like, but there's this one group who cannot be given certain levels of power.
Yeah.
How do you start doing that? Crippling their ability to survive. Because when you say that we cannot employ gay people, while even the job has nothing to do with sexuality, nzize kuma. Osiyazi bangekukwatira kwa.
Ngoine ekipawa kyo.
All right? But you see, like, the disgusting play of on power, like, that's the level it's at. You cannot even, apparently you can't even be single in peace. Kwanga, there are landlords going around looking for, single tenants. Why are you single in a 2-bedroomed house?
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So these implications are just a play on power that, again, I'll say is completely disgusting.
Exactly. And I think ever since all these conversations started coming up about the bill, we have seen an increase in violence. We have seen increase in discrimination. There's so many cases that are coming up. So many people are losing jobs. And it's disgusting in that in this modern day and age that we are in, it's still an issue. Your sexuality is still an issue. Your identity is still an issue. To me, it's just disgusting.
With the vast well of knowledge that the internet is, sexuality is still something we need to...
I think it's just being selectively...
nitpicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word. Being selectively ignorant.
Selective ignorance,
yeah. Because everything is there and there are issues that you need to focus on as a country. And just leave people be, just leave people's sexuality, people's identities, and we move on. Yeah.
So, Sarah and Winfred, while we come to an end of this amazing podcast, amazing, still sad. These are not things we typically want to talk about as human beings. No one wants to sit back down there and normalize conversations on suffering and conversations of misery. At least I don't. So moving forward, what is it you'd like a hardworking queer Ugandan to know? A queer Ugandan like yourself that has looked at everything and been like, you know what? Regardless, I'll try to make a life for myself. But then also objectively looking at it as the vast majority who will not be able to make a life for themselves. And as a result of this bill, they probably might... You never know what could happen. But, I mean, we are open to all kinds of outcomes with things like this. What is it that you'd like to tell a Ugandan that's listening to this and a queer Ugandan that's listening to this? Hopefully, a parliamentarian will hear this and be like, my people, the hypocrisy is overwhelming.
I know.
Let's start with Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. For me, as a queer community, I think let's seek knowledge. Let's continue seeking knowledge. Let's educate ourselves. In that, when you're caught in the middle of any controversy, you know how to protect yourself individually. Let's seek. Let's sensitize ourselves on a constant and devalue all this propaganda. I would call them propaganda that is coming up with the bill, and also let's self-aware about security, because security begins with you. And how do you protect yourself in the labor market, at your job, at your workplace? Because right now we are in a sensitive, how should I call it? It's a sensitive. Oh, yeah, that situation. One. Yes. So we need to look out for each other. That's one thing. We need to check on each other, because you don't know what Winfred is going through. So we need to be checking on each other on a constant. We need to look out for each other, and then also no the bits of your rights. Like obutandikirwako olina okubanga obumanyi okwerwanako okitegeera. You need to know the bits nti omuntu bw'aba akwatakinze in this angle, what are they looking for? How do you reply? How do you counter interact that? Yeah, basically we need to self-aware kubanga olina okweprotectinga gwe nga gw'omuntu. You need to protect yourself. Yeah.
More self-awareness. I love that.
For now.
More self-awareness.
Yeah.
Right now, yes. For now.
For
That's
now.
very, very important, because objectively, self-awareness might not always go
I know.
the entire mile for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But for now we need, because we need to be alive. We need to be alive to continue the fight. So for now we need to keep it alive. Let's survive. Yeah.
And in fact, now more than ever, because our money is being attacked,
exactly.
We are like to enjoy this money. Now more than ever, eating your money is political. Winfred, please.
Before I go to the Ugandan, the queer Ugandan, I need to first remind the government of Uganda to respect all the different international treaties they've signed to. Uganda has ratified to very many. Yes? And most of them speak to social justice. Yes? And with social justice, we look at equitable distribution of resources, opportunities of all citizens without discrimination. You get it? So they need to respect that. They need to respect that. Just a reminder. We love our government so much as queer persons. We vote them, we give them taxes. So it's just a reminder.
And we are willing to sit down with them.
Yes, and that is why it beats my understanding. They are debating about people who they say. First of all, by bringing that law, to me it means they accept that we
acknowledged.
We exist.
Yeah.
But they are not ready to speak to. But again, now back to the queer sisters, brothers, everyone out there.
And others.
First of all, just know you're not alone. You are not alone in this. Take heart. Don't give up on yourself. People hide so much in the Bible, but me, like how they use the Bible to favor them, I'll use the Bible that the enemy comes to steal. So the parliamentarians and the government are the enemies coming to steal our wealth, our joy, our happiness. Let's not let them steal our joy. To the other citizens, when you point a finger to someone you don't know, just know that you're pointing a finger to your either sister, brother, husband, wife. mother, father, because you don't know who you sleep with. You don't know about the person next to you in your room, but you're pointing to someone you found out there. Love wins. Yeah, this world is big. This planet is very wealthy.
Everyone.
It is very wealthy. It is enough for everyone. And hate is going to only harm you, the people who are trying to hate others. Love with passion. Love genuinely. Love with intention. You don't have to accept me to live with me on this world. So I send love to everyone out there who is listening. I send energies to everyone out there who had lost energy because of the bill. But let's not sell out our energies to them. Let's not give them satisfaction. Let's not give in to their desires.
Let's not forget, we are all born free, equal in dignity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't possibly say you both have not put this beautifully. It's been nice for this first session of this dialogue. It's been nice having you two in the studio. So but also for me, my parting remarks
did it.
before I send any shout outs, my parting remarks are just simple. More research over me search. Before we are self-righteous, let's be more self-aware, because there are more things plaguing this country than queer people existing. Sit down and truly look at the implications, and look at the implications of this bill close to you. If you're somebody that is behind this bill, look at this bill as something that will affect your cousin, as something that will affect your sister, as something that could affect your child, because that's how queer people exist. They do not exist on an isolated island. Mu Kampala mwebali basiba bazunga, mu Uganda mwebali basiba batambula bakola. Hypocritically looking at it as they are so far from you is not fair. To a queer person out there, I'm joking. I am joking. No, but in all seriousness, let's also understand that right now, more than ever, building solidarity is important. And wherever it is we can build it from, let us build it as knowing that we want it to be an ecosystem, something that can be for us even when we cannot be for us. That's what our solidarity should look like. I'd like to give a shout out to MEND Initiative for constantly having conversations like this, even as scary as they are. Everything we've talked about here today is scary. It is open to as much interpretation as you could think about. But thank you for constantly powering through. Rights for her? Mother Nature? Wagwan? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. It's always nice. A shout out to Kuchu Times as well. Kuchu Times is a major powerhouse when it comes to LBQT media, sote mbazanyisa. But also Urgent Action Fund for allowing for a space like this to happen, hence providing resources. And to the government of Uganda, because there is no such thing as bad press. Thank you for allowing Ugandans to see that queer people exist. A major shout out to you. Kwe mutodde temujjangako, mukama bawo mukisa. May you reap from the hate that you sow. Amen. Goodbye, people. I have been SK. Sign out.